Voice of Miami podcast, season 5, we're back at last. With Mark and Tim on the mic, they're bringing heat, they're bringing hype. Guest stars going through, oh what a ride. Deep dives in music, let the rhythm guide.
Welcome to the Voice of Miami podcast. I'm your host Mark, along with my co-host Tim, and we are back for show number 118, covering the season 5 recap. Yep, we've made it all the way through the episodes, and now we're doing the season 5 recap. No more seasons to go over.
Nope.
We just finished up Free Fall. That should be released today. Today is the 29th, so I'm sorry, it'll be released tomorrow.
You know, and I saw you had sent me that text that had just a screenshot of our Facebook page, and I can't believe it was, announcing a show coming on. It was March 28th of 2021. Yeah. I mean, how fast time has gone. It's amazing. It's crazy. And it's been a good run. And even with all the starts and stops of, if somebody was sick or we were traveling, or we would always take a little bit of a couple weeks, maybe sometimes in between each season. We still got it done in 5 years, 5 years. So just
and that post I sent was, I think it was Brother's Keeper. You couldn't really read it on the picture that I sent you, but I think it was Keeper. Crazy, absolutely crazy. Nevertheless, we're here. We're going to do our season 5 recap, kind of like we've always done for every season. We're not going to have like 3 or 4 per. At least I didn't. I don't know if you did.
I didn't.
Which is
I
fine.
just went with one each. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. It's pretty simple.
Right. We've got our bullet points, which we could go over right now. Is best episode. Why did they write this? Of course, we got to have that in there. Best plot twist, biggest shocker, best guest star, be it a villain or a good guy, in the best Izzy moments. But yes, here we are, season 5 recap. Why don't we just get started, Tim?
Let's do it.
What do you think? Okay, so best episode. I will let my co-host go first. What he has for best episode in season 5.
Best episode for me was Free Fall. The series ended in a good old Miami Vice fashion with, I believe, is the most shootouts ever in a 2-hour episode. And I believe it was six, count them, 6. You have Crockett and Tubbs are duped by the feds, who all along were planning on letting General Bourbon run amok if he gave up in front of cartel. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love the Castillo stare, the Izzy clothing option retreat scam, and Crockett and Tubbs riding off in the proverbial sunset. And one of the things I didn't put in there, that it kind of towards the end there, when they were getting ready to go for the big climax of the season, or of the climactic scene of this episode, it kind of when they were locking and loading everything, it kind of paralleled Brother's Keeper when they were in the air tonight going to make that meeting with Calderon. So
I agree with you. It was good, but like you said in your part of the review for that last episode, what happened between them, throwing their badges down and then riding into the sunset? Because, there's always more to the story. Did Castillo pull them in the office? What transpired between that to cause them to ride into the sunset? Right. So that was it was a great episode, but that was missing. The reasoning was missing.
When we do our series recap with Marina, I'm going to come back and touch on some things about that. Even though this was, to me, the best episode of this series, there were a couple of points in there that I want to discuss. I'll do it later when we do this series recap.
So you've got Free Fall. I've got Redemption in Blood, which is episode 2 for season 5. Which where Crockett slowly and then finally comes back from Burnett to Crockett. Burnett fades away. And, I say this because we've seen over the 5 seasons, many good guys, many cops cross over, but never come back. And I've got a short list here. We've got Artie Lawson in the Heart of Darkness. He never came back from anything, period, right?
Right.
Scotty Wheeler in Brother's Keeper. He was You really can't say he crossed over, but he was sold out. He was a sellout, right? He gave the
Oh, yeah.
information for cash because his kid was crippled and all that.
Yep.
Over the line, you've got many rogue cops. Baraska, you got the Edward Reese vigilante cop, sort of. The Lost Madonna. I think it was a Fed, Jeff Whitehead. They found the stolen art, and then he took it and was going to sell it. And then you got Mirror.
He was a New York detective.
Right, New York detective. That's right.
Because when we did the review on it, we're like, obviously there's probably 4,000, or probably way more than that, cops in New York at that time. Everybody's not going to know everybody. So,
right.
But we were always questioning, did Tubbs know him or hear of him when he was working in NYC?
Or why Tubbs didn't call in. Hey, you know this dude?
Yes. Why didn't he? He definitely had contacts there still.
Mirror Image. You got Jimmy Hagovich. He was a leak to the Manolo drug cartel. And then don't forget, I think the best crossover not coming back, Out Where the Buses Don't Run. And Hank Walden and Marty Lang. They both went way on. Well, Hank went way over. We were talking about that before we started. People going over the edges. He went way over the edge. So all that is cops coming over but not coming back. So that comes back to Crockett. He went to Burnett and then he came back to Crockett. It was good to see Tubbs. Tubbs's face rattled the cage of Burnett. And, it was just good to see partners come back. And plus, don't forget the great song, Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush, Don't Give Up, when Burnett was walking along the beach and then he finally walked into OCB and got drawn down upon. That's my personal favorite top 5 song. So, Redemption Blood for me. little long-winded on my end, but that's what it is. My show, get your own. Our next one I have is Why Did They Write This? Tim, what do you got for this one?
For me, it was Leap of Faith with the Young Criminals Unit. They did it as one of the lost episodes, but as we know with the production codes, they were all filmed. A complete season of how many episodes? I think it was 21 episodes were written, and they chose at some point, you know what? We just got to put this series to bed, but we'll come back with some of these other ones. They spent money on them, so we're going to show them. But, it was obvious that this was to be the heir apparent spin-off to Miami Vice, but it just really wasn't going to work. We talked about this when we did the review, that 21 Jump Street was already well established as a show. I believe that if the YCU came into fruition, it would never have been renewed for a second season. It was just a clone show. I think it could have definitely been better if Crockett and Tubbs got to play a little bit more of a role, but they're trying to set it up as the heir apparent, and thankfully that did not happen.
Exactly. I don't know why I mislabeled it. I put Over the Line, but no, it is Leap of Faith. It was the quote unquote lost episode. You got the premise of these new kids on the block, new Jack, next and up and coming Vice. And they tested the waters and lost out pretty much to 21 Jump Street, which they did because 21 Jump Street was already in syndication, at least from, I want to say maybe a season when this one came out. But nevertheless, that's what they were trying to be. And it just didn't pan out. The Pretty Boys didn't work. What probably would have worked, like you said, just go ahead and do the new Kids on the Block series. And then have that tie-in where Crockett and Tubbs would show up eventually, type, every now and then to be the mentors. Maybe not have this in Miami, maybe Fort Lauderdale or something like that, where they would definitely have the crossover between Vice and this, and have Crockett show up and maybe Marty. That would have probably worked, kind of like being mentors. Old guard teaching the new guard. So yeah, Leap of Faith. Why did they write this? For Vice episode, no. For something else, for its own thing, it probably would have been better. Probably could have worked if 21 Jump Street wasn't out. Our next one, best plot twist. I'll go with this one right away. It's real simple. I'm going back to Heart of Darkness. We thought Crockett would never come back, and he would just continue on his literal killing ways. And you cross over, you're starting to kill all these bad players, even the bad guys, but even the bad good guys. I just thought, it was going to be, that was it. This is Crockett. We know from reruns and all that he came back, but it was possible that he never would have came back. So I thought, run with it, keep it going with Burnett. I thought he wouldn't come back. So we got the twist. He came back.
For me, the best plot twist is found in the lost episode, Too Much, Too Late.
Ooh, yeah.
And that's Valerie Gordon's goddaughter, Lynette, is pimped out by her mother, Yvonne, to drug dealer Billy Swain in an exchange for her next fix.
Mm-hmm.
The twist comes when Val finds out that Lynette, not Billy Swain, killed Yvonne, yet was going to let Billy take the fall. And this runs counterintuitive to the oath she took as a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. It's like, uh-oh. But, I don't know if it was Crockett. I think at first it was him saying something else is going on. What's going on? And then Tubbs, when he got over the whole I want to marry her thing, he started seeing the light as well. But Crockett was the voice of reason in there. She's hiding something from us.
Right.
So for me, that was best plot twist.
There we go. Biggest shocker. I've got Miracle Man, episode 19, lost episode. It was a good old but not good run-of-the-mill scheme we've seen before, especially when Izzy shows up. The superhero was the cousin to Izzy here, but the shocker was the concern here from Izzy. He's always got his feel the shill stuff going on. What is next new thing going on? But Izzy breaking down and then crying, when his cousin was shot. This was genuine, deep concern on Izzy. There's no way he would have run a scam or a scheme on this type of thing. Good old Izzy here. He's a human just like the rest of us.
Well, for me, I got it in 3 storylines: Hard Knocks, Too Much, Too Late, and Free Fall. And the biggest shocker is Stan the Gambler. Stan owed markers to a lot of bookies. The biggest shock comes when he's in debt to the mob in Too Much, Too Late. And being that it was the last of the lost episodes, we never find out what will happen to this storyline, because they told, it was a mob bookie or somebody mobbed up that said they came to his apartment and they said, "We own you now." However, it was filmed before Free Fall per the production code. In Free Fall, Montoya bought Stan's markers. Are we assuming it's from the mob? And I think also we talked about it when we did Free Fall review, that you had said that, okay, the series is ending. This one, we're not going to show this one. It's going to be a lost episode. Right. So they had to do something right in Montoya buying Stan's markers. But
was Montoya like a collection agency for like a doctor office?
I don't know. Yeah. Yes. But if you did Too Much, Too Late first before Free Fall, you could just make that assumption that Montoya came in and bought his markers, or threatened to buy him. Maybe the mob didn't want to get into a battle with the Median cartel. And now Stan had to do his bidding. Stan gets suspended, goes rogue, and kills Montoya's guys. Eventually, Montoya's killed. So does that mean Stan is off the hook? Alas, we will never, ever know.
No, we will never, ever know. All right, 2 more. It's going to be a short show today. 2 more. Best guest star, either a villain or a good guy. Tim, who do you got?
Best guest star goes to Melinda Williams as Lynette in Too Much, Too Late. One can argue that she was both a villain and a good guy. She was an innocent pawn in her mother's drug habit, which basically led to her being raped. And then she seeks vengeance by first killing her mom and then went after Swain. But I had empathy for Lynn as the unthinkable happened to her at such a young age, which the end justified the means. People could take it for what they want. It was, you could consider a villain or a good guy. Hard to say. You just draw your own conclusions on it. But for me,
either way.
Yeah, for me, that's your best guest star.
Okay. Well, I've got kind of the same thing, a villain and a good guy. I've got Sonny Crockett and Sonny Burnett. We've got the best of both worlds here. You've got obviously the established, Crockett, ultimate good guy here. And then you have him kind of going over to the dark side, kind of like Hulk Hogan, going over to the NWO back in the wrestling days, and then coming back after that. It's pretty cut and dry. You get that slow descent. He's fed up. Caitlyn died. He shot the dude that he got out of prison. I forget his name. And then he's like, you know what? I'm get rid of all these bad guys. And then he's slowly come back. Got Tubbs kind of smack him in the face a little bit, the proverbial smacking in the face. Like you, Tim, I've got two and one here. I mean,
exactly.
Unfortunately, this is kind of sad because a lot of these episodes just, weren't that great in season 5.
Right. It's the show was getting tired, and just remember that at that time there was many episodes where Don Johnson was not in there, or he made limited appearance, because I think the reason the show really went, besides declining ratings, he may have been demanding more money, or he's just like, you know what, I'm done with this, I'm out. So it fizzles, that chemistry between him and Tubbs, because really that's what Miami Vice is all about. These two guys coming together from different departments, different worlds, and that's why I picked Free Fall as the best episode, because it ends the way it started for them.
Right.
Ever think about a career in Southern law enforcement?
Maybe. Best Izzy moment. This is going to be a simple one for me. I've got Miracle Man again. Again, he broke down into, the regular human being that we all are, put all his schemes and scams beside him, dropped them all, and he just, he showed genuine concern for his cousin. So Miracle Man in Best Izzy moment.
Izzy had many good moments. T-shirt salesman, Miracle Man, and clothing optional retreat leader in Free Fall. But Mark, Izzy's best moment is in Miracle Man, where he shows compassion and vulnerability to his cousin and helps him with his mission. This season highlights Izzy, the quintessential scam artist, and Izzy, the good human being that he is underneath that facade.
So that was a quick one. That's our season 5 recap. We've got that in 19 minutes. Again, like you said, Tim, it just fizzled. Season 5, the heart wasn't in there. Kind of like a diet. It's like, oh, I've been doing this for a while. It's not losing no weight. I'm not feeling as good. So I'll just give me a pint of ice cream. I'll sit down and watch. I don't know. Some TV show. But season 5, again, had its ups and its downs. I want to say more downs overall than anything. And then you got these so-called lost episodes that were run out of order. You've got Castillo not coming around for essentially at least the last 6. I mean, even in Free Fall, he was on for what? Maybe 20, 30 seconds in total? Maybe a minute. Okay, I'm sorry. The suspension.
No, a little bit more.
Yeah.
He was probably on no more than 5 minutes.
If that.
A few
in Free Fall, it was just the suspension scene and the flopping of the badges. That was it.
Yep, at the end. Again, we have a series recap, so we may be revisiting some of these topics with Marina, but we'll see.
Just to round out our timeline for our next shows coming up. So our next show will be covering the Miami Vice movie.
Right, the 2006 with Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx.
Yep. We're going to be doing that with Aaron from Manic Movie Monday podcast. And then after that is the last show, potentially, more than likely for Vice of Miami. It's the series recap of Miami Vice with Marina from Vice and Easy podcast. 2 more left for us. Today is, like I said, it's the 29th. It's Palm Sunday. If you celebrate, happy Palm Sunday. This will be out after Easter, so I want to wish everyone a happy Easter if you celebrate.
Yes, happy Easter if you celebrate.
And Tim and I would like to take this opportunity to invite you to our new adventure, our next adventure actually, called Sunday Gravy Radio. It's our new podcast about pretty much anything. Not necessarily specifically a TV show or a series or a movie. It's about anything. And the best part is you get to, play along, Any topic you want to discuss, Anything you think is important to you, shoot us an email, sundaygravyradio@gmail.com. sundaygravyradio@gmail.com. And our socials are at Instagram and Facebook, it's Sunday Gravy Radio. So look for us on Spotify and all your podcast platforms. It should be fed there automatically. And this one will be wrapping up shortly. Like I said, we have 2 left. Anyway, we will see you on show 119 covering the Miami Vice movie with Aaron from Manic Movie Monday podcast. Stay stylish and keep the vice alive.
Your crime reports are paper thin, pal.